All right, Billy Joe Saunders on record just saying some pretty outlandish, rude, hateful, just incredibly disrespectful things. Mainly about Canelo and Gennady Golovkin. I mean, that seems to be his primary target right now. And look, I don't want the channel to become, like some kind of, clickbait, oh, shocking title, watch the video. Like, I really don't. And the reason I wanted to kind of talk about it, report on it. It's because there's a lot of people out there that really don't know who Billy Joe Saunders is, or they don't know the man behind the boxer. And I think he's just an arrogant prick, just a complete asshole, and he needs to be talked about because I mean the things that he's going around saying, I think it's dangerous for boxing, and it's just pure garbage. Like this shit should not be coming out of his mouth. I mean, so when I read the comments, I went and watched the video. You guys can go over to IFL. Just go to YouTube, type in IFL. There's 2 or 3 videos there where you can, they're long. They're like an hour long, and I just watched like 2 hours of video. And then there's another interview that he gave with his accusations, his insults, and everything, just anything he can throw at these two guys. Now, first of all, he was talking about, well, here's some kind of sword he was waving around. I mean, the dude's like mental, but, he was talking about he's doing an upcoming documentary on BBC, and it's regarding like racism, how, he said, I might be, this and I might be that, but I, you'll never hear me make a racist comment, just trying to be like the moral police and, try to, it's just so ironic, right? I mean, this guy's like trying to preach to people about taking the moral high ground and respecting others and things like this, and then I'm about to tell you what he said immediately after that, after he just announced that he's going to jump up there and lead the way on how we should be treating each other. This is basically what he said. First, he talked about Eddie Hearn, how Eddie Hearn ripped off the public in the Tom DeLorme fight, which whatever, I don't care about any of that crap going on over there. But getting into Canelo Alvarez, he said, and I'm just going to read you some quotes here, okay? Alvarez, a complete shitbag, an absolute complete shitbag. Why vacate the belt and fight cherries like Amir Khan? A lightweight. He called him a lightweight. He was a light welterweight, so he got that wrong. That's really low. It's robbing the fans. He's a shitbag. And then he went on to talk about Gennady Golovkin. He said, I don't care who's sucking Triple G off or not. I don't give a fuck for Gennady Golovkin. I will fight Golovkin. I will fight Golovkin right now, tomorrow, next week. It doesn't matter. Now, he said this during the whenever they were negotiating the possible fight. Well, actually, I believe this was right after. I take that back. The comments he made, it's after the negotiations ended. Okay, and it gets worse. Okay, so he's calling Canelo a shitbag and saying Golden Boy Promotions are ripping off the public and just going on and on and on. And he brought up again, he kept bringing up Canelo Khan, and then he said Canelo is a cash cow. What kind of man, what kind of pussy vacates the WBC? He's in charge, not his team. His team works for him. Canelo's in charge. He calls the shots. Okay, then this is where we get dangerous. Okay, this is where things get a little dangerous. Then he accuses Gennady Golovkin of being on PEDs. Okay, and I don't like that. It's a very harsh accusation, especially when you're someone like him and you have millions of people watching. Okay, I mean, whenever you go to the IFL channel and just that interview alone, I mean, collectively the 3 or 4 that he did, you got 1 million views. So you got 1 million people watching, probably 100,000 shares, 30, 40,000 shares. And, it's very reckless and irresponsible for him to say things like that with no proof whatsoever. Okay. Like I said, he accused him of being on PEDs, and, he said, you notice basically right around the time Gennady Golovkin got the WBC and was forced into the clean boxing program ran by VADA, that he started to go downhill. What a coincidence, right? He gets the belt, he's forced into this very stringent drug testing, and all of a sudden he's beatable. He looks vulnerable. Okay, it's just unbelievable. Okay. Then he said, he fights bums, guys that look good on paper but are easily beatable, and he called them a wank stank and a minge. Like, I don't understand the lingo over there. What the fuck is a wank stank and what is a minge? I mean, so that was a part of it. Okay, let me turn my page here because I wrote a few things down. Okay, called him a wank stank and a minge. Like, what the hell is that? Okay, well, yeah. Well, by the way, here's Mr. Big Talk immediately after the Akavov fight, the Artur Akavov fight, when he got the shit beat out of him. He won unanimous decision, which I think he should have lost. But this is Mr. Big Tough Guy. After giving the worst performance in professional boxing. I mean, you guys need to go watch his last fight, and it was awful. And he even said immediately after that fight, I don't deserve a shot against Gennady Golovkin after that performance. And basically before the camp, there was no training. He was like overweight, out of shape, went into that fight looking just really bad. Okay. So, again, for him to preach to others and talk about PEDs and, all this name calling and whatnot, it's like, he needs to take a look in the mirror. I mean, because, go all the way back to Eubank 2014. Okay. Who does he have? Like, what, Andy Lee? Before that, Felice, Ryder, O'Sullivan. I mean, who the hell are these guys, right? You don't even know any. I mean, basically, he has the Eubanks. He's 24-0. Okay, 24-0, and he has an upcoming fight with Kurtzide. Now, you remember Kurtzide? He was the dude that I believe was the mandatory. Who was it for? I can't remember, but they basically bumped him out of the ranking and just inserted Canelo's name, and that was at light middleweight. So I don't even know about this fight. I need to look into it, but I thought Kurtzide, I thought he was a light middleweight, so I don't know if he's pulling him up to middleweight to fight. I don't know what's going on with that. I mean, you guys can tell me in the comment section. I don't follow Billy Joe Saunders, so I don't really know, nor do I care, so I think the guy's a bum. And look, I use that word conservatively. I don't call boxers bums. I really don't, but this guy is a straight up bum, okay? Look, okay, so like I said, during the Gennady Golovkin negotiations, he said, the old bull is getting old. I thought he was unstoppable. Now, after Jacobs, he's just an ordinary guy, and then he said, he claims he was overtrained, and Jacobs was overweight, didn't weigh in for the IBF, and he's like, I beat him. I guarantee you I beat him. I'm his worst nightmare. I'll beat him in a Borat tent. I mean, seriously, who says shit like that? I will beat him in a Borat tent. And then he goes on to talk about the Kazakhstan Holiday. Remember, Gennady Golovkin wanted to have a fight in June. Remember this? So, and then Golden Boy Promotion stepped in and said, no, you can't. He wanted to make the fight with Billy Joe Saunders, but, they said that he didn't have enough time in between. And then with the Canelo fight right around the corner, they said, we'll get at you later. Now, it's not like they told Billy Joe Saunders, no fight. It's not going to happen. What they said was they're going to take Canelo in September, and then Billy Joe Saunders will be next. So, what is this guy crying and whining for? I mean, he's had multiple opportunities to fight Gennady Golovkin and ran like a bitch. And, now that Golovkin is signed with Canelo, here he comes again running his mouth, okay? Now, he said he would fight him in a Borat tent on the Kazakhstan Holiday while they're selling rats. Okay, who says shit like that? I mean, I understand trash talking, I really do. This is boxing. You're gonna have a lot of trash talking, but who insults an entire country or a culture rather? Basically accusing them of selling rats on a cherished holiday. That's just like, who the fuck says shit like that? then he goes on, he brings up Canelo again and says, Canelo is a ginger pussy, a faggot. He will never be a great, never be a Mexican great. Blah, blah, blah. I mean, you get the point, right? I mean, this guy, like I said, it's just reckless talk. I mean, look, this is boxing. I like some good trash talking. We all do. It sells fights. It's entertaining. It's exciting. But, this guy just takes it to just a stupid ass level, and it's why he will never be great. And it's why his career is about to be over. Like I said, go look at his last fight. As a professional boxer, it was embarrassing. I mean, it was awful. And he even said it himself, and then he said, and they asked him that question. They said, well, you said after your fight that you didn't deserve a Golovkin fight, so why all the talk now? And he says, well, we say things, we say things we don't mean. We say things, it's all a mental game. He was saying it's just a mental game we play, right? I guess he's a fucking wank stank, whatever the hell that is. So here's a comment by him. I think, and when they asked him about the Canelo Golovkin fight, I think it's going to be a close fight. Saunders said of Canelo Golovkin, I thought Golovkin would win comfortable at first, but Canelo's got a few tricks. It all depends if Golovkin's got a bit old, isn't it? His last fight, let's face it, he wasn't the best Golovkin we've seen in 2 or 3 years ago. He's slowed down a bit, but also my opinion is that that had something to do with having, I'm just reading it like it says. I mean, this guy can't speak proper fucking English. My opinion on this, he had 5 drug tests, and that's my opinion on the stuff that happens in America. So I don't think he boxed to his best ability because it's a fair playing field. So here's what he's saying. He was tested 5 times for the Jacobs fight. He's saying, look, he was tested 5 times against Danny Jacobs, and look what happened, And, basically making the accusation that prior to that, there wasn't this, strict testing that the WBC requires and, blah, blah, blah. You get the point, right? So, I mean, and not only that, what I didn't like, he said, that's my opinion on the stuff that happens in America. So it's like he's accusing all American boxers of being on PEDs. I mean, so it's just like, dude, it's really sad. I mean, honestly, I didn't even want to make the video, but I think it's important to show you guys who Billy Joe Saunders really is. I mean, you remember the things he said to Dan Rafael, okay? And they had like a little Twitter war, and he was talking about like, I'll fuck your mom, and something about fucking his mother, and you fat pig, and this, that, and the other. I mean, the guy's just an abusive bully, a verbally abusive bully, that eventually is going to get his ass beat by Gennady Golovkin. It's going to happen. Either that, if he has that WBO, okay, if he's holding on to that belt, then it's game over, because you can't go around talking like that, accusing people of being on PEDs, things like that. I mean, and not get your ass beat. It's just going to happen. So, hopefully, immediately after the Canelo fight, well, actually, I think there's probably going to be a rematch, but immediately after Canelo, whatever, the rubber match, the trilogy, he goes wherever and fights this guy and retires his ass, because this guy needs to be removed from boxing. So, look, I don't want the channel to become this bashing channel where all I do is talk bad about these guys, but somebody's got to do it, number one. And not only that, I mean, it is the lead story right now, and I'm a reporter, I'm reporting on it. I'd much rather talk about a pound for pound list or some all-time greats, something like that. But for now, I just wanted to share this with you guys. I mean, what do you think? Put it in the comment section and tell me what you think about his comments. And and thank you for watching.